What's up, everybody? So today we are going to start with this article from the Mail Online, and as you can see, 7 days till Brexit. Well, if that was only the case, we are currently waiting for an extension from the EU. What a great position to be in. Now, this article discusses the vote which will take place at 5 p.m. today, which is the final vote on the Queen's speech. Now, normally the Queen's speech vote would go through easily, as if it fails, it would mean a new administration would have to be formed and an election held. However, due to the Fixed Term Parliament Act, this is no longer the case, and the government could press on regardless. Remember that this vote is just to back Boris Johnson's new legislative agenda, as he set out in his speech. It has nothing to do with Brexit. And yet, the games of the Remainers have begun, or they continue, I should say. They have now attempted to hijack the Queen's speech. Joe Swinson and the illiberal Undemocrats have tabled an amendment calling for a people's vote to be put into the bill, with the options of deal and remain on the ballot. Now, to me, this seems a backwards way of going about things and not the logical way to do it. I mean, I have no issues with a second referendum. However, it is clear that the options on the ballot should be Boris's deal on one hand or no deal on the other hand. Now that is a vote I could get behind. Surely the vote in 2016 had Remain on it, and they failed. They lost. My idea seems to be the only sensible way forward. Boris Johnson's deal or no deal. Now, by tabling this amendment, the anti-democratic coalition have made the Queen's speech a meaningless act. So, should the amendment pass with support from MPs and the Parliament, the pressure will be on Boris Johnson to seek the public's opinion on any further deal negotiations. Should it fail and the Queen's speech be defeated, it means that he does not stand a chance of getting his legislative agenda through Parliament. This would encourage the government to press for a general election. So, will there be a general election before Christmas? As we discussed yesterday, it looks like there is two differing opinions in the EU as to how long an extension to give. Now, a short one, which would allow the agreement to be put through Parliament, and a rather longer one of 3 months to the 31st of January. Now, a short delay of maybe 1 or 2 weeks would encourage the government to set another timetable to get the Withdrawal Act through the Commons. The Act, which was backed earlier in the week by the Parliament, however, the short time in which they wanted to get it through, which was 3 days, that was not agreed. So, in this instance of a short extension, if the MPs started playing their games again, Boris Johnson could say as such and push for a general election. Now, should the EU choose a 3-month extension, this would almost certainly push the government to request a general election immediately before Christmas. It has been reported that the EU will come to some kind of decision by the end of the week. Now, both of these delays hit at Boris Johnson's claim of a Brexit by the 31st of October. Do or die. However, what is clear is that it is the Parliament and the MPs which have forced his hand in this. Boris Johnson is not going to be coming out of this looking bad, because clearly he wants the Brexit and it's the MPs that have been blocking it. Now, if the deal is extended to the 31st of January, then the threat of Brexit would have subsided and Jeremy Corbyn's reasoning should now be at an end. He will have no argument against it, and he should back a general election. Well, we'll have to see how that plays out. I think the biggest concern for Labour is that they would be destroyed in such an election due to their confusing Brexit party. Now, looking at recent polling does suggest that they would pay the price heavily. That said though, even if Jeremy Corbyn does back an election, there is no guarantee that his MPs will obey him. They risk having their noses pulled from out of the very trough they've been feeding on. Recent reports say that many of his MPs will vote against a general election until Brexit has finally been resolved. Should this occur, we are then in Brexit no man's land. So, Parliament appears to be irreversibly split on Brexit and also a general election. Now, John Major has said that a general election will solve nothing, but it does seem that it's the only realistic option available. The public clearly supports it, according to the polls, and so does the government. But the Fixed Term Parliaments Act means that a 2/3 majority of MPs will need to agree to hold one. So let's have a look at the alternatives. We either leave a powerless and besieged Prime Minister in power with no confidence from MPs and yet not having a no confidence vote. This cannot happen indefinitely, and a general election is almost certain within the near future should this be the case. A people's vote, yes, where there is clearly no mandate for one. I mean, polling aside on this one, should a second vote occur and Remain win by a small amount, this would be hugely divisive, even more so than we are seeing now. The calls for a third vote would be almost deafening. And then what? Should we go for the best of 5? Should we just have endless referendums? I mean, you get the point. A third option, a government of national unity. I can't help but laugh when I say that. Well, as we've already discussed in previous videos, the idea has been around for this for a while and is clearly going nowhere. Labour and Jeremy Corbyn's obstinacy that it's either Jeremy Corbyn and no one else should lead it, but also his lack of popularity amongst MPs in general means that this cannot go anywhere. And so it appears that, to many, an election might not be a good idea. But then again, it does appear to be the least bad option we have on the table at this point. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Thank you for watching this video. Like, share, subscribe if you appreciate what we do.